Firstly, the thing what I want to make really, really clear is that motivational stories, people telling us about how they've been in the darkness and have come into the light, is of real value and hugely important, right? It gives people hope and it helps us to understand that no matter where you're at, there is the opportunity to move through it, right? What I'm talking about here is not a polarized conversation of telling people to stop doing that. It's just making sure that we hold fort for all of the sides, that we have the nuanced conversations that we need to have. When we go too oversimplistic with our messaging, when we start telling that people that if I can do it, then everybody else can do it, or when we start saying things like the only person in your way is you, get out of your way and anything is possible, right? When we start those oversimplistic narratives, what we're doing is looking at individuals in isolation and pretending that the environments in which they've existed in don't matter. We then start creating this narrative that it's all about willpower. Now, I've got to tell you, when I was using drink and drugs in the way that I was, to be able to use it in that way, I had to have a huge amount of willpower, right? But I was directing that willpower into the wrong direction, right? Now, I was directing it into that direction because when I was younger, I had certain kind of feelings and emotions that I had to escape. And when you take everything into account, the environments in which I existed in, my personality traits and characteristics, the roles in which I played in the family system that I grew up in, the political systems in which I grew up in, and the ways in which I was treated as a result of the behaviors that I exuberated, then you start to see that there's a lot of complex situations that come into account when you think about the direction in which people take. So it becomes shaming and it becomes stigmatizing when we put it all on the individual and we just say, this is down to you. What we essentially say is that if you're the only person that can make things change for you, and as long as you get out of the way, then everything's going to be all right. And if X, Y, and Z person has done it, then so can you. Then we're saying anybody that doesn't do it, the people that are stuck in the struggle and in that situation are finding it difficult, then we're shaming them. And we're saying you're not trying hard enough, right? You just got to have a bit more willpower and get yourself out of the way. And it's never that simple. Or in a lot of cases, it's not that simple. If we want true compassionate approaches, we have to go and meet people where they're at. And the message is not, you can be where I am now if you just get yourself out of the way. It's, despite where I am now, I'm going to come and meet you where you're at, because I understand that life can be difficult, it's complex, and there could be a million and one different factors playing out in your life. I did not get through the things that I got through on my own. There was countless times, and still is, where other people have to carry me. And the good thing about that is that I'm a human being and I'm interdependent. Ultra independence, the belief that we live in this dog-eat-dog world and it's all down to how much effort I'm going to put in, and as long as I do that, anything is possible and I'll get through it all, right? That's not the way that I believe that we exist as human beings. We need to be there for one another. We need to know that we can rely on people and there's people that can rely on us, and that's how we move through situations. I can stand here and say, I got to where I am, if you want to make the change, anyone can do it. But then I completely discount the first 25 years of my life and the impacts of those journeys had on me and where I am today. It's way more complex than overly simplistic lines that we might give. And so we should always be cautious. And I think it's important to hold fort for the other side too.